Hey guys, Savage Joy with Real Progressives. I'm at a special time tonight. Just gonna wait until I see some people tune in. So it's my this week's news show. I've been doing those every week now for a few months. You guys seem to like them because there's certainly always enough stuff going on in a week. I could probably do today in news because, it's 2020 time and everything's just batshit crazy. So, anyway, I'm just waiting for some people to show. Hey, CJ. Just waiting for some more peeps to show. So while I'm waiting for some numbers, some fewer numbers to add, what is on your mind from this week? I have a whole list. I know a lot of people are talking about Epstein, of course, and his suicide. Oh, no. I would never do that to you guys. You guys never want to hear me sing, ever. Like, ever. I will not do that to you guys. That's just abusive and mean. And you'll never watch my show again. The peeps come on Easter. Not entirely sure what that means. It sounds dirty, but so today, Gregory, you are going to be ecstatic. Today we have a special guest. Yay! It's Duchess. Hi, Dutchie. Hi. Dutchie, look. It's rare I have Miss Duchess on, but when I do, everybody loves her. She is a progressive Pomeranian pup. She supports vet care for all, free obedience school. She's just, she's a big Bernie supporter, huge Bernie supporter. Say Dutchie. She's the best. She's a rescue. We found her. She was found on a highway, and in West Virginia, and we were lucky enough to get her 8 years ago. Yeah, exactly. Every now and then I just have to be like, look, this is my world right here. This is what keeps me going. This little stinker here. Oh. Bye, Dutchie. Bye, Dutchie. Say bye-bye. That was for Gregory and a few others. There you go, Bubby. You probably got my basement dweller shirt in there. So anyway, yeah, I definitely have Israel on my list. That's always been an issue for, really our country, period. This is one of the things which scares me most about Elizabeth Warren. There's a lot of, neo-lib centrists, Republican light, whatever, people running, but Elizabeth Warren is probably the worst on Israel for so many reasons. I definitely encourage you guys to look her record up. Certainly nothing pro-Palestinian. I posted on Twitter about an hour ago, Bernie, they had, I believe it was 13 presidential candidates make a video, like a 5-minute video on the issue between Israel and Palestine. And a Jewish organization, I think it's called If Not Now, they were, like, lack of a better term, scoring, you know, the videos. And they said that Bernie's was the only one that was not abhorrent. They said that the things he was saying was absolutely on point. And, you know, there are other historians and things like that who say that they are with Bernie on it as well. His foreign policy in 2016 was, like, very insecure. He wasn't, like, he knows what he stands for, but he wasn't going hard enough. This time he's been much stronger on it. So I'm really happy about that. But I mean, it's yeah, okay, so yeah, I don't know how I feel about the whole Bernie Tulsi thing anymore, to be quite honest. But I'll get into that after Israel. So I posted something about an hour ago that you know, you have Elizabeth Warren, Cory Booker, Kirsten Gillibrand, Kamala Harris. You have all of these candidates who not only met with Netanyahu, who took money from AIPAC, you know, whose votes are atrocious when it comes to Israel. And that doesn't make me feel safe. So you can actually, you know, like Warren was tweeting today about, oh, Netanyahu is awful. Well, in her comments, I posted a picture of her with Netanyahu. So unless you're going to give that money back, then, you know, stop with your bullshit. Then also, you know, Bernie's the only one who has ever called Netanyahu a racist. And this was months ago. And it was like, oh, when he said it, because, you know, we give them bajillions of dollars, so you can't say that. They're, you know, all hail Israel. So he knew he was going to get so much shit for that, but he said it anyway because he believes it. And now everyone's coming out against Netanyahu, but he's still not, they're still not saying the words. They're still not being strong enough. So, and I think it speaks volumes that Bernie is the Jewish candidate, yet he's the one who always fervently comes to the defense of Ilhan and wow, what's her name? Rashida. Bernie's the one who always comes to their defense. So, and I think that's really interesting considering he's the, you know, the actual Jewish candidate. So I think, you know, I'm definitely looking to more responses from the other candidates so I can pretty much call them out and show their hypocrisy. But it'll be interesting to see how this unfolds. You're already seeing some Democrats who are pretty much acting completely okay with the fact that they are saying that they will not allow Ilhan and Rashida in the country, which is just so disgusting and fucked up, and it's, I don't know that they were even going there, but you know, some people are saying, Bernie, you should go with them. And at the same time, that kind of that makes me nervous. I'm not trying to get my man hurt or anything by going over there and, you know, just to like start shit. I think that he's doing a lot, you know, by speaking out and everything. So then, you know, also speaking of Bernie, before I forget, I digress, but that kid, David Hogue, from the March for Your Lives from Parkland, he was like, you know, some reason people always get on Bernie about guns, even though, and they're like, he has an ANRA rating, which he's never had higher than a C plus or C minus rather, and that was like 2 decades ago. But in any case, David Hogue tweeted at Bernie and was like, we're having you know, a huge rally for, you know, against guns and blah, blah, blah. Will you be there? And people were like, ha, ha, ha. And Bernie's like, I'll be there. So they think that they can trick, you know, it works for other candidates because they'll just kind of ignore it. But Bernie's like, yeah, I'll be there. And I don't think people like care that he's the best chance we have. People are dying, and some of us want less people to die. It kind of seems like a lot to ask, but so in any case, a few people brought up Tulsi. When I wrote Bernie in 2016, I wrote her as VP. I met her last year. We had a great conversation. I have my issues with her. And I think that there's some issues that her supporters as a whole do not like being brought up. And as a whole, I have decided not to really go there about Tulsi, simply because even though right now our campaigns are running against each other, even her supporters are in agreement that she's likely going to drop. Will she endorse Bernie? I don't know. I'm seeing her talking about UBI and like automated jobs, things like that. And I saw a picture of her and Yang together, and I thought, oh, well, isn't that interesting? So I don't know. Maybe she'll endorse Yang. I don't know. I just kind of like expect the unexpected with people, especially politicians. No idea. If she drops and endorses Bernie, cool. But my thing is, I don't share things that bother me about her. Like, I don't show the receipts and stuff because they will come back and hurt Bernie. However, if she drops and endorses Yang, then that's a different story. But for right now, I just share my opinion. I do notice that online, if you so much as even say her name, you will get ripped a new asshole on Twitter. It's bad. So at this point, at least on Twitter, it's egregious the way that, you know, people are being sent messages like, you better support her instead of Bernie, and here's what we're gonna need to do, and what would Bernie do? Like, what? It's just, it's weird and it's invasive, and I don't know. Like, I don't know. I'm just getting like a really uncomfortable feeling with a lot of Tulsi supporters. I made a post one day about how delegates are going to work. For instance, in Iowa, which is the first state, you need, because of the number of candidates, if there's 20 or more candidates, the person will need at least 15% of the vote to get any delegates. And then I gave an example. Okay, let's say Bernie gets 13% of the vote and Tulsi gets 5% of the vote. Nobody gets shit. So I was using that as an example. And I wanted to explain it again because people keep saying, well, she'll drop and give her delegates. And I'm trying to explain to people there won't be delegates to give because there's just not, she's not going to get 15%. That's not, I don't even think her supporters believe that. That's a lot. It may not sound like a lot. Oh, 15%. That's a lot. With that many candidates, it's a lot. So I make this point and used it as, an example. And all of a sudden, I'm getting attacked, called names, everything else, and saying, stop telling her to drop out, all this stuff. Like, I literally never even said she needs to drop out or I've never said that. Like, but it was just full on attacks. And I'm thinking, look, okay, I get that your girl is smeared. I get it. But that doesn't mean that you need to start attacking people who are supposed to be your allies. Because no, I'm not supporting her for president, but that doesn't mean we have to hate each other and go at each other. So I've noticed some real ugliness, and like, I have to keep saying, like, I'm Bernie, like, I'm not going to change. Please stop harassing me. Like, it's not going to change. Period. So yeah, I'm not really on Facebook much, but it's all over Twitter. It's hyper defensive. It's, it's getting really gross. Honestly, it's really gross because what's going to happen is, let's say she does drop. Let's say she does endorse Bernie. All the people, because every single time you say Tulsi's name, what these same people are doing is they are taking Bernie and they are bashing him. So to try and make her look better, I guess, but all we do is say, fuck you, that's not true, and become bigger Bernie supporters. So it backfires. But I think, it's kind of crazy because they're not helping. If Tulsi does drop and endorses Bernie, our movement is just fucking fractured right now. Because you have these Tulsi supporters and you have these Bernie supporters. And when they both announced, everyone was like, oh my God, like, this is cool. Regardless who wins, we're going to support each other. It's like, Tulsi was mine too. Bernie was there too. But now it's just like, so it's going to be crazy to see what happens. Who knows? If she drops and endorses Bernie, they're going to have to get the fuck over it. Because, I mean, if you want Medicare for all and things like that, you better go with Bernie. I don't know. I'm noticing a lot of hypocrisy, especially on social media. It's a double-edged sword because you watch things on social media and you read posts and you feel so, connected to so many people you've never met, but then you also go on there and read stuff and just kind of hate the world and lose faith in humanity. So yeah, it's definitely a mixture. If he picks up, well, yeah, Casey, and I hope so. Here's the thing that I think people forget, though, is that, I mean, not that this is conventional, but, you know, the people don't announce who their VP is until they get nom. Now, it's not conventional this time. They might. I don't know. I think, should she drop and endorse him, I think people are going to be presumptuous that, you know, that's what's going to happen. I mean, if Bernie did get the nom, there's like a 1,000,000,000% chance Tulsi would be in his cabinet in some capacity. I mean, of course she would be. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see, because she's coming out with things that do not agree with Bernie, which is fine, but I'm definitely noticing differences in their platforms, and in their responses. One of the biggest differences is he supports the federal job guarantee and she does not. So that's problematic. If she would join Bernie's campaign, she needs to fucking get on board with that, because that is imperative, period. So in any case, okay, no, wait, who just said that? Who just said that the picture of Clinton is authenticated? Marjorie, are you serious? Oh my God, I'm dying. So that is so fucking phenomenal. It looked real, but I mean, I'm visually impaired, so, but so there's this picture going around, who, and it shows, it's like a painting of Bill Clinton in like a slip dress and a fucking red FNPs, and apparently it was in Epstein's shit, like not literally, like in his stuff, and that's just so bizarre. Oh my God, ew. That's so bizarre. Oh my God. Okay, yeah, I gotta dig deeper into that, because that's just so fascinating. It's abhorrent but fascinating. But yeah, Epstein, the funny thing is, like, you don't need to be, you know, a forensic psychologist. Like, everyone knew he was gonna get suicided. It was so blatantly obvious, because this dude had the ability to take down judges, cops, CIA, presidents, you name it. And he's just going to survive? Nah, not going to happen. So, yeah, that's really interesting. I'm looking forward to learning more about what happened, although I don't anticipate hearing the truth necessarily. But props to reps and everyone who's actually asking for the investigation, because there's definitely something shady when he's on suicide watch, and then, you know, he tried to kill himself like a few days before, but, you know, they take him off suicide watch, and then the video camera is broken, and, you know, it's all that fun stuff. So, you know, it's always bananas, but, you know, and it's scary. But I'm just really, it's like it's a movie or something, but I just have my fingers crossed that he has some safety deposit box somewhere that'll be like, psh, Bill Clinton. Dun, dun, dun. John Fugelsang, I used to think he was okay. Some of the people, I was thinking about this earlier, some of the people in 2016 who were like more left. What Trump should do is make you go more left, but instead it's making people go center. And I think John Fugelsang is one of those. He said if Epstein would have revealed something about Bill Clinton, people would be up in arms about it. Listen, Clinton is accused by rape or sexual assault from 13 women. His wife bullied his accusers, called them walking bimbo explosions, and she's hailed as a feminist hero. So no, that wouldn't happen. If you have a D next to your name, you are good. Biden grabs little kids, sniffs their hair, Democrat. Who gives a shit? You know, and then I was thinking, you know what? It's a good thing Trump was implicated in this shit, because there's no way in hell anybody would be looking into it unless his name were there. Yeah, Marjorie, that's a good point. A lot of people say that he could have been broken out as well. I mean, how would we know though? Yeah, there's so many. I'm just like, it's so frustrating that, you know, like this shit has been going, Epstein has been going on for decades. They've had this dude for decades, and it took him being connected to Trump to actually have something happen. That's so fucked up. It's actually really disturbing that Bill Clinton has been, you know, like there have been pictures of him on the plane and stuff for decades, and it's been an article after article, you know, personal testimony, everything. It doesn't matter. The second Trump's name gets dropped, boom, he's arrested, it's done. Like, the victims are not victims unless it's done by a Republican, and that's really disturbing. They get no justice unless, you know, it's like, I was raped. Okay, but were you raped by a Democrat? Okay, sorry. It's kind of what it seems like a lot of the time, unfortunately. I want you guys also to look something up. There is an article I've been sharing a lot because it's not talked about at all. When Kamala Harris was DA in California, I know a lot of people know about her, you know, incarcerating a lot of Black and brown people, things like that. But something a lot of people don't know is that she had files with 84 molester priests, priest pedos, 84 of them in files. And they stayed with their churches, as she refused to release their names. The victims begged and pleaded over and over. She refused. To this day, 84 pedo priests in California, their names have still not been released, and they are still working. So they're being around children, and she's not releasing the names so that parents can know who their kids are being around. So there's an article, there's a lot of sources, but there's one article I've been sharing a lot, and it's very hard because there's a video in it of one of the victims sharing what happened to him, and all of the things he's gone through to try and get her to give him even just his file. Just his, nobody else. Just him and the pedo priest who did it. That's it. Ignore calls, ignore emails, everything else. So he started speaking out about it, and he is just one of the victims. And it's so disgusting, because I'm not gonna, I'm not being accusatory in my next statement, because I'm not saying it as a fact. But when you think about what are the reasons that you would not release names of pedo priests, what are the reasons? Did you get paid off? Do you fear losing your career? Do you fear losing donations? What is it? What is stopping you from giving these victims? So here's what else happened. These victims were not able to file lawsuits because they had no proof, because she wasn't releasing it. So these people went through this hell. They've been suffering for years, and they can't even get justice because she has the proof and won't let anyone see it, including the victims themselves. That is so disgusting. It is just, it's so disgusting. So, yeah, definitely look into that. It needs to be shared more, because every time I share it, people just can't believe it. They're like, oh my God, I didn't know anything about this. And like I said, there's a video in there by one of the victims. It's not something disputable. And they even give the citations of the records and everything. They actually, the article addressed the legality of being able to release the names, and a certain something or other was filed, and she was absolutely legally allowed to release those names and all the info. It was cited in the actual article. So there was nothing penalizing her whatsoever should she decide to release it. That it was her personal choice not to. So yeah, to me, that's one of her most egregious things. Hicklehopper dropper. I really wish that I could make beats, because I just really want to make a song that's like Hicklehopper, panty dropper, something like that. It just sounds like it, like it's a dance. So yeah, sorry, but socialism won. He joined because he wanted to take on socialism and, stop the world from being taken over by socialism. And then he dropped out. Because, I was also thinking, it's so humorous. All of the people in the bottom 1 and 2, well, not all of the people, but all of the people who disrespect socialism are all in 1% and 2%. Well, except for Warren. But all those Bennett and Delaney and Hicklehopper, all them, Ryan, they're all 1 or 2%. So it's sad, but thank you, Hicklehopper. Now we are down to 24 candidates. Aw, Jenna, you missed Whoopty. I just had her on the show. Aw, I just had her. Now she's snoring. So anyway, I was just talking about how your boo Hicklehopper droppered. I know you're going to be bummed. So Iowa had their fair this week, and it was, I forget what it was called. It was something really weird, but they had this thing that was, they called sign wars, and all the candidates like bring signs and their people, and they like have some kind of pep rally where everyone's like, yeah, Kamala, yeah, Amy Klobuchar, and it's really juvenile and weird and bizarre, and it just looks like a pep rally of like 12-year-olds screaming, and it's just so weird. So anyway, I was looking at the videos like, what the fuck is this? It was just like crowds of blue shirt, crowds of red shirt, crowds of white shirt, crowds of green shirt, and everybody just looked like minions all together. It was just weird. So then this reporter on Twitter posts a picture of a few Bernie supporters sitting at a table with like Bernie signs and Bernie literature. And he, he makes some kind of comment like, oh, here's where the party's at, kind of thing. And then, because that's what they do, even though we have the biggest rallies and the, most donations, things like that. So then underneath you look and people are posting video who were there and saying, actually, this is where we were. And they filled up an entire restaurant and they were getting ready to go canvass, because instead of having sign wars and standing there waving their signs while they chant like Kamala, Kamala, they decided to use that time and go canvass door to door. And I was like, oh my God, we have the best volunteers. So he was making fun of a few people sitting at a table, but they really were just sitting there for information. And then the real crew was out there canvassing. And there were like easily 200 people, easily. So yet again, and that's the kind of shit that Bernie's talking about when people are like, oh my God, he's attacking journalists. First of all, they're not journalists. That's not a journalist. People who skew pieces of things to fit their narrative, and people who get paid by corporations. Those things are not journalism at all. So, and now all of a sudden, I guess everyone's a freaking Bezos fan, because people are, just freaking out because Bernie said, Bezos can't stand him and he owns WAPO, and WAPO fucking, insults him every other day. And people find that offensive. It's the truth. Who else have they ran 16 negative stories on within 16 hours? That they did that to Bernie, no one else. So, oh yeah, because he takes on Bezos like every day in his speeches. He got him to up their wages to $15 an hour, but Bezos is going to have his own publication write positive things about him. Come on. But the neolibs see it as, oh my God, Bernie's like Trump. He's saying that the media is bad. No, he's calling them out on their bullshit. So he made a video saying like, when is the last time they asked a candidate, what are you doing about income and wealth inequality? And Bernie said to the woman filming, so when is the last time you asked that? And, crickets. So he's trying to run an issue-oriented campaign, as he did last time. And it's so foreign to them that they feel the need to constantly find something salacious instead. Whole Foods. Yeah, Voltaire, absolutely. Yeah, so that when people compare Bernie to Trump, it absolutely infuriates me, because this is a Jewish man who lost his family in the Holocaust, and you're comparing him to someone people call a Nazi. That's a problem. That's not okay. Just being outspoken is not, that doesn't mean they should be compared. So Biden is just, I didn't think he could become more of a mess, but he definitely is. When he first announced, it was about a week after he first announced, his people, he was actually having his volunteers body block people who were coming up to ask him questions after the debates or after the town halls and his speeches and stuff. Literally 6 journalists, reporters, whatever they were, went on Twitter, like just one on top of the other, saying how they went to go talk to Joe Biden, and one of his people just stood there and goes like this, "Joe's not taking questions right now," and then took a picture of the journalist trying to talk to him. So, I mean, it's pathetic. So now they're saying, an article came out today saying that they're telling Joe to limit his appearances to minimize the gaffes. So when do we stop calling these gaffes and just acknowledge that they're fucking racist and he's just not competent to be in office, period, let alone to be president? You hear the ableist jokes all the time about Trump being mentally incompetent and all these things, but then Biden can't even talk without slurring his speech and mixing up words and saying crazy shit, and he's supposed to be the front runner. He's scary, because if you are comfortable with him doing these things and then going to meet Kim Jong-un and think that he's capable of holding a conversation without saying something racist or mixing words, like, who says we believe in truth over facts? Like, what does that even mean? I thought facts are truth. Or like, poor people are just as smart as white people. What the fuck? His shit, like, he's a fucking mess. He is a mess. And one of the things that, always stood out to me is when you're on the debates, you're given like this long to talk. So everybody's always talking over each other and fighting for the chance for that microphone, which makes sense. But Biden, he'll say something for like 20 seconds and then be like, "But I guess my time is up." And then there's like nothing. So like, he doesn't even want to continue talking. He doesn't even try. He just kind of like, "Oh, I guess my time is up." Like, why, people are so concerned with getting rid of Trump because they feel we have to babysit him. What the hell are we doing with Biden? Don't talk, okay? Because you're going to say some fucked up shit and people are going to make fun of you again. And you're already dropping in the polls. Like, why do you need handlers? It's pathetic. You're 77 years old. Learn how to take care of your damn self. Something is absolutely wrong. I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to speculate, but all I know is, point blank, he's not in control of what he says. He doesn't listen to things when people say they're uncomfortable. He does not stop doing them. He has no inhibitions, and he has no, ability to actually comprehend what people are telling him to not do. And that's what we're trying to get rid of, if I'm not mistaken. I call him Jim Crow Joe. I will never vote for that. I will never, ever, 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 ever vote for that man. Ever. Like, ever. So there are several people I think would lose to Trump, but he's someone that I know will lose to Trump. So if they are so concerned with him being the nominee, 2016 2.0, they're going to fucking lose. And pretty much all of us know that. So, I mean, we told them Hillary was going to lose 1,000,000 times. They didn't listen. Ever. Ever. Never. I promise I would never vote. Okay, well, if Bernie were on a ticket with them, which wouldn't happen, but then I would. Let me see what else. Israel over an attack in Armenia. Oh, so there were all these attacks on Bernie saying like, you know how Trump is always like, I have the biggest crowds, but he lies about how big his crowds are. He'll be like, I had 12,000 people, and they'll be like, there was a capacity of 2,500. Well, they say that that's what Bernie sounds like when he's, you know, if one of his reps will be like, we had 3,000 people and had an overflow room, they'll be like, you sound like Trump. Well, at the Iowa State Fair, all of these local Iowa magazines were posting on Twitter, biggest crowd of the fair, most excited crowd of the fair. You know, all these things, just like post after post about how he was, you know, the best at this, that, and the other thing. And Bernie, this is. And then someone made a comment like, that's why he had the biggest crowd. I think it was Sirota made a comment about, well, that's why his crowd was the biggest. And like this blue check came in and just went off, and he's like, no, it wasn't, just stop that. And then I put like 10 screenshots of all these reporters that were like, biggest crowd, loudest crowd, most signs, you know, and went down. Then there was another reporter who said that Bernie was the only candidate who didn't walk around and talk to people. And then people were showing video after video of him going up and talking to people. He even went to some people's, this couple's home to look at their well that was leaking, things like that. They will do anything, and people don't research. There were, you know, Bernie was eating a corn dog, which was just absolutely disgusting. But I forgive him for it. And they were just showing this picture of him like eating a corn dog, and it was like all they were showing, making it look like all he's doing is eating like disgusting fair food instead of talking to people. But they also didn't mention the fact that after he got off stage, he literally said, if anyone, you know, wants to talk further about anything or ask any questions, come over here. And he was answering questions for people personally. Nobody else was doing that. Oh my God, Dave Weigel is a fucking idiot. He just blocked Sirota. Damn bastard. Yeah, he's, oh my God. There's another one who I thought was like somewhat progressive like 2 years ago. What else do I have? Okay, so there's this, I don't know how many of you guys are on Twitter, but there's this total garbage account called the Horse Whisperer, and it's HOARSE. And he is the biggest asshole. Well, besides Mr. Weeks, both of them are like just garbage. So the horse whisperer, sexist, racist, anti-Semitic, just an all-around ugly person, bullies every single person who even, basically if you don't outright bash Bernie, he's going to destroy you. And he has yet to be banned from Twitter. He is reported countless times, every single day. This has been going on for years. So we do this thing called My Bernie Story. I made one. And you take about a minute or two and you share your story with the hashtag My Bernie Story. So you make a video and just talk about, this is how I heard of him. This is why I support him. This is how my life would change if he were president. Anything like that. So I did my video, and I ended up getting emotional in it. I really wasn't planning on it, but it ended up not my video, but My Bernie Story hashtag ended up trending that day, the other day when I believe it was Monday. It ended up trending over 100,000 times. And there were thousands of videos. If you go to Twitter and type My Bernie Story, you can still see them. I mean, I swear I was just crying for like hours watching them. You see undocumented immigrants, people with their coming out stories, LGBTQ. You see people who have lost family members to cancer. You see people who are filing bankruptcy because of medical debt. Every single thing you can conceive of, someone had a video for. And it was just heart-wrenching. So it was so beautiful and so incredible and so touching to see everyone's story. And yet somehow the horse whisperer, MSNBC, and some complete piece of shit garbage excuse for people decided to co-opt My Bernie Story and start being hateful. MSNBC posted, everyone was doing the story because it was trending. So, MSNBC decides to do the story in a different way. They post a screenshot of the horse whisperer completely disrespecting our movement and the entire project. Hashtag My Bernie Story. And that's what MSNBC shows. Like, of all people, this dude has attacked everyone. It's been bad for years. That's who they chose to show. So then people think it's hilarious. And they start doing My Bernie Story. If it weren't for his old ass, Hillary would have won. My Bernie Story. If he's going to need a walker to get on the next debate stage. Like, just all this stupid shit. And that's what it was hijacked into. So, you take something so beautiful where people were opening themselves up and sharing something so personal, in such a raw and organic way. And then they hijacked it and turned it into something gross. That says so much about them. So that's what it turned into. Someone found the horse whisperer. They showed like a clip of something underneath his screenshot, and they ended up finding his LinkedIn. Didn't have his picture or anything, but it showed that he is in business with like everyone major, as in like Comcast, AT&T, oil companies, everything like that he's connected to, which we kind of figured. because the way he goes, anyone who's anonymous like that and attacks people so fervently, you know that they're hiding something. They're either paid or wish they were. So in any case, he's connected to all of these big companies. So anyway, so this person posts, okay, here's the dude's LinkedIn. We finally have an idea of who he is. And Neera Tanden, who is, Beelzebub, comes on the thread and goes, you're doxing someone, you're doxing him, or something about doxing, which they weren't, because they weren't giving his phone number, address, whatever. But the fact of the matter is, the way she stated it, acknowledged she knew it was him, and she therefore knows who he is. So she was connected to this douche who has been so hateful and so disgusting. How shocking. She also calls Mr. Weeks a friend, and he is even worse than the horse whisperer. He's probably the worst person on Twitter as a whole. So yeah, Neera knows who he is, and unfortunately she has no idea what doxing means, but she inadvertently admitted that she knew who he was. So yeah, so anyway, long story short, they co-opted our movement. So, and there is something, I know I'm on the air a few times a week, but there is something very invasive and very daunting, putting yourself out there, when you share personal things about yourself. There's, it's a whole different element. And then when I got emotional in my video, I was like, should I even post it? I don't know, because this is always about, to me, this is always me bitching about politics, and I'll share things here and there, like, oh, I got this medical bill and it's like $1 bajillion, but I don't really share myself, that often. So for people to go to that length and then have it exploited the way that MSNBC did is egregious. And that's why I'm proud to be part of independent media and not anywhere even close to them. What else? I think that was all I had. Tom Capini, they did actually start trending my Biden story the next day. It was parody. I didn't really get to see any of them, but I know that it did start trending. It only had like 1,000 or something. Oh my God, I can only imagine. Yeah, so I think that's everything, but so tomorrow night, I have a gentleman who is a DSA candidate who has endorsed Bernie. He is in Texas, and his name is Joaquin Vasquez. And he is running against a big old corporate dem. So we're going to go over his campaign tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern. And then, dun, 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 Saturday night is the big night. I hope all of you guys know. I'm holding a 3-way debate. It's going to be me hosting the 3 Democratic candidates running against Nancy Pelosi. So we're going to, have a legit debate. I'm going to be timing answers, and we're going to have rebuttals, the whole 9. I did a few 2-way debates before, but this is a 3-way on camera. So this should be interesting. So it'll be Agatha, Shahid, and Tom. Those are the 3 Dem candidates. That'll be vying for the spot. And I have invited Nancy Pelosi. She has not yet gotten back to me. I'm hoping she shows up. I'd really like to include her. Still waiting. I knew you were going to say that as soon as that came out of my mouth. CJ, oh my God. So in any case, thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys tomorrow night at 9 Eastern. And then also tell everyone Saturday, 9 p.m. Eastern, this shit is going to be insane. Last time the votes were split, California has a jungle primary, meaning the top 2 people with votes get to go to the general. It could be 2 Dems, 2 Republicans, 1 Green, 1 Independent. It doesn't matter. Top 2 people. Last time the top 2 was a Republican and a Democrat because too many progressives or pseudo quasi progressives were running and the vote got split. So one of the biggest concerns people have is that will 2 of these 3 drop, if and when? So we're gonna, we'll be discussing that as well. I mean, we have some time, but I think that it's a really valid concern because Pelosi needs to get her freaking stank ass out of there. She's gross. She's capitulating to Trump and only exacerbating everything wrong with the Democratic Party. But in any case, so please tune in tomorrow night and Saturday. Thank you guys so much for watching. You are the awesomest. Thanks, guys. Much love.